has been on cacti and succulents. So we have a society dedicated to succulents, and it is known called the Indian Society of Cacti and Succulents. We meet every month in any one member's house, and it can be anywhere in the NCR, which includes, which as you know is Delhi, Gurgaon, Faridabad, Noida. So once a month we meet. We also issue a journal which, because as I've grown older, it has become a little more erratic because I'm the editor of the journal. So we do that, and of course we hold a very big annual show each year. It's either on the last week of March, last weekend of March, or the first weekend of April, depending upon the time given to us by Delhi Haat. It's been held in Delhi Haat over the last few years. This is a place where we get vendors from all over India. That means basically from the Darjeeling area and from the Shirdi area who come, and they sell plants, and of course whatever local few or more people, local people members also who over the year who grow plants excess, so they can take a table and sell. Membership of the society is, I'm getting a little confused because there has been a little revision. It is I think 750 rupees per year and 7,000 rupees for life membership. And it is beneficial because when I started growing cacti, I did not grow like all of you. I was into horticulture more than growing succulents and things. But I realized that this is one plant that, unlike what most people think, that you don't require any care, that succulents will just grow. But that is a misconception because, they do require a lot of care. There are some hardy plants that don't require that much care. But it is a much easier plant to grow for me because my husband being in the army, we were moving from place to place. So I started growing cacti and succulents, and the society has definitely benefited me. But the main thing to remember is that you can get that much from the society as you are willing to take from it. Nobody will come to your house and tell you, no, grow this, do this, do that. But if you insist, you want to come, you want to meet people, and you say, no, you tell me, you show me, you are interested enough to be, wanting to identify plants, then you can get a lot from the society. So I know that I have gained tremendously from the society because it has, these plants have become, kind of a, fitur ho gaya, so that it's like that. So it's become such a passion that you want to grow it and you want to know about it. So today's, please start. Okay. So today's discussion mainly, what they've said is care of cacti and succulents. Now, as far as I'm concerned, we cannot think of the care of any plant unless you know something about it. So I would like to start by telling you that even though, it's not only in India, it is the world over, any plant that has thorns, ये तो cactus है. But that is not the case. All cacti are succulents, but all succulents are not cacti. A favorite saying of mine is, when sort of a simile to this would be, I always keep telling you that all Sikhs are Singhs, but all Singhs are not Sikhs. So similarly, all cacti are succulents, but all succulents are not cacti. So then we come to the thing as to what exactly are succulents. Now succulents are any plant that stores water in some part of its body. I mean, that part of the body may be the stem or the leaf or the root. Now, why does a plant need to store water in any part of its body? The main reason for storing water is because these plants grow in the arid zones of the world. Now, arid zones are, I mean, you know, all of you know that these are areas which get no rainfall. I'm wrong to say no rainfall, but get minimal rainfall. It gets very little rainfall. So, these are the arid areas. Now, there are some arid areas which get no rainfall. There is a particular region in Africa, Namibia, and the Namib Desert. Now, the Namib Desert is adjacent to the sea. But this particular area does not get rainfall for years on end. But you get some of the most beautiful succulent plants growing in this area. So then the question is, where are they getting their moisture from? Because all plants require moisture. You know, they all require soil, air, oxygen and moisture to grow, or things. Now, where is it getting moisture from? So this area is getting moisture from the sea. The sea mist is so heavy. It is so heavy that this, you know, moisture-laden mist goes over the land at night. And all the succulents draw moisture from this mist. So then arid areas. Now when you say an arid area, people will immediately think of a desert. Desert means sand and you know, I mean Registan. But it is not, that is not the case. An arid area is an area which gets little or no rainfall. So it can be you know, sort of like some of the succulents in India, the Indian succulents. The storehouse of Indian succulents is the Western Ghats. Western Ghats don't get water for long periods of time, but when they get water, there is enough moisture there. Or, you know, sort of Tamil Nadu, or even in Rajasthan, Natho, that grows in Rajasthan, that is also a succulent. So, we've now said that all cacti, I mean all all succulents are not cacti, but all cacti are succulents. Secondly, we said that these plants grow in the arid zones of the earth. Now again, the other thing to remember is that an arid zone can also be, an arid area can also be high up in the mountains. The Andes and mountains in all these areas, it doesn't get much rainfall, but again it gets this heavy mist, water-laden mist, which is enough for cacti and succulents. So this is, you know, where they are growing. Getting water from somewhere to carry it, and they need to then store it somewhere in their body so that it can grow over the year. Now then, you know, sort of this can be, the succulents can be divided into three basic categories. One are leaf succulents. Leaf succulents are those plants that store water in its leaves. So the leaves will be very juicy, it will be thick and fat, and those, actually speaking, are the prettiest looking plants. If you really look at it, the leaf succulents are the prettiest looking plants. All of you are growing kalanchoes. Now especially you get the different colored flowered kalanchoes. Those are also succulents, those are leaf succulents. Then, I mean, most of you have been to Shimla. If you go up to Shimla, you will see those little rose cacti hanging all over the place. So those are all storing water in their leaves. So now, the next thing, you know, the thing is that, okay, you've seen these leaf succulents, but 90% of the leaf succulents grow in cooler climates. So, you know, most people who are fond and they look at it and they say, oh, this is such a pretty looking plant. Let me buy this and I want to grow this. Unfortunately, most people don't realize that Delhi is not the best place to grow a cool climate plant. Because it is very, very hot here and humidity levels at this time, it's killing. So, you know, I mean, leaf succulents, you can definitely buy them in winter, grow them over till the summer, and don't feel bad if they die. Buy it again, you can treat it as an annual plant as far as you're concerned. Because, I mean, unless you keep it in an air-conditioned place or something like that, it's going to be very difficult. The next thing are the stem succulents. Now, the stem succulents are succulents which store water in their body, in the stem. That easiest thing that I can tell you about is the thorn. You've all seen thorn growing in Rajasthan. You must have seen otherwise also. These are those are stem succulents. Stem succulents grow all over the world, and cacti are also stem succulents because you know that most cacti don't have leaves. Now, actually what happened is, okay, I'll come to that later then. So we've just said that stem succulents, cacti are also stem succulents because it's storing water in its body. Then come root succulents. There are some plants which will store water in its roots, and these roots will, you know, and from there it survives in periods of drought. Now, I don't think there's an example that I can easily give you of root succulents, because unless you are ready, it would be an adenium. Adenium is very much a succulent, but it is not it's not a cactus and it does not have any spines. The other one is what you most of you would call the ponytail plant. It is the Bocarnia recurvata. Now, that also doesn't have any spines. There are many species of aloes. Aloes are leaf succulents, very pretty, very beautiful. Most of them don't have spines. Some of them have very soft spines, which may look like spines, but most harmless and very soft. Agaves will have spines at the tip of the leaf, but it is only a cactus that will have spines on practically on its body. Now over here I tried to draw, unfortunately the pictures didn't come out on this paper that you've got. But the thing was, as I told you, the first one I drew a picture was of a leaf succulent, and then the next was a stem succulent, and then with a root succulent. I am not a very good artist, but I've tried to do something over here, so I'll just show you. See, this is a leaf succulent, where generally it will look like a flower. Can you see? No. So this is a leaf succulent. This will be a stem succulent. And this is the root succulent, where it has, see, a potato will also have a fat root which stores water. Or a carrot, or these are all. But these are not, these are annuals. It's not that if you leave a potato in the ground, it will continue as a potato. Or yam. A lot of us grow some yams in our collections people have. But again, that also, it is more of an annual plant. So that is this. Now how do you identify? The next question is, we know that succulents can be leaf succulents, stem succulents, or root succulents. But how do I identify a cactus as compared to a thorny succulent, other succulent. So then again, it is point to remember is that all cacti will have, the way you can identify a cactus is, it has these on its body, it will have a kind of a little pad, small pads, and the spines will come out from those pads. These pads are known as areoles, A-R-E-O-L-E. So this is the only way that you can definitely say whether it is a cactus or not a cactus. So it will have this thickened pad on its body, and the spines will come out from that. You've seen that ficus plant in northern India, they call it tiny, and even those pads will have thorns in it, and those thorns are known as glochids. Those are very irritating, because if it gets into your, those spines gets into your fingers, it's very difficult to try and take it out. So the only way I know of is, putting some sticky tape on it and trying to pull it off that way. So this is a succulent, a cactus. So you can, I'm just showing you this because it will be very easy for you to see, because this will have a little round pad over there, and then you'll have these thorns coming out from it in all directions like this. So this is how you identify a cactus. There are other, like thorn, also has a lot of thorns, but it does not have this pad. The thorns, the spines will arise directly from the body itself. So you can easily distinguish between a cactus and an other succulent. But as I said, all succulents don't have to have any. You can find it. It is not an Indian plant. This came into India many thousands of years ago. For all you know, basically, people say that Arab traders, when they were coming, birds, and one pad, one of those round things, each one of them is a pad. Even a portion of that pad will take root. It is a totally besharam plant. It will just grow, given any, given no chance it will grow. So all cacti are from the New World, that is North America and South America. No other country in the world, no other continent in the world has cacti that are endemic to it. So cacti are only endemic to the New World, that is North America and South America. But there are some cacti, like this Opuntia, that has over a period of time spread all over the world, and it has become more or less a local plant. This plant has also went into Australia, and today it has taken over so many parts of Australia that they imported the cochineal beetle to eat this, because that is the only way to stop its progress. But it is very difficult. In any place you will find, you drop one little bit of this plant and it catches root and it grows. And of course there are many different species which are not so hardy. It is not so easy to grow, but mostly it is this. So as I said, now cacti all come from North and South America. There are a few other Opuntia species which have come into India, especially in the south. There is a particular one known as Cylindropuntia. You will find that growing as hedges. But amongst the other succulents, like even some of these grows like leaf succulents, known as Cyanocrassula, they grow up in the mountains. If you go towards Shimla and all that, you have to look for it, otherwise you won't find it. They're very pretty plants and they grow over there. Euphorbias, which is another very large group amongst the succulents. a lot of euphorbias in India. Some of them are root succulents, which grow under the ground. Some of them are stem succulents, which are above the ground. And then there is again euphorbias, euphorbiaceae. There is a plant known as Jatropha's. Jatropha's are found in India. So there is a large number of succulents that are also found in India. Africa seems to be, Africa is the really the storehouse of most of the succulents which today we are craving for and growing. It has the most beautiful euphorbias in various different shapes, colors and sizes. When I started into this hobby, when I got into this hobby, I got into it and I was growing only cacti. But as I sort of started growing these plants, I started learning more and more about it, and I started, I saw the different other succulents. And I realized that the different shape, size, form of the other succulents, in euphorbias, it is so beautiful, that slowly, I started, hopefully, sort of now you'll understand that all cacti are succulents, but all succulents are not cacti. Now we come to the care and of cacti and succulents. Now, all these succulents, as I said earlier, was that they grow in the arid zones and they don't get so much water. A lot of it grows in leaf litter, sometimes, in top soil, top sandy soil or whatever, where it doesn't really get that much water. So, because it doesn't get so much of water, the thing to remember is that all these plants will require very, I'm watering twice a day, once in 2 days, but I prefer to have very porous soil. So I am growing them all in porous soil. Now, how do you make your soil porous? That is again a very sort of pertinent question, especially here in India, because we don't get all these things that you get abroad. They grow a lot of their plants in what is known as pumice or pumice. But you don't get that in India. It is very difficult to get it. It is very difficult to get it in India. So what is the next alternative? The next alternative is coarse sand. What kind of, coarse sand? In the earlier years when I started growing, we used to get a lot of Badarpur sand. So we used to collect Badarpur sand, sackfuls of Badarpur sand, usko then, sieve it, chan karke, wash it at least, 5-6 times at least, until all the fine particles would be washed away, and you would only have sand which is very granular. So the right size would be the size of methi ka dana. Between rai and methi, that kind of granular sand. Then we were told that there is something that you get which is known as rakhi. Rakhi, you all understand what rakhi is. This is cinder. A cinder you get, it's not easily available, and therefore it becomes very difficult to try and get it. But the railway yards at Zakira. There is a place in Delhi called Zakira, which is very close to Motinagar bus depot. Zakira is the railway yard, and in the coal-fired engines, coal is burnt and ये राखी निकलता है उसमें से. Now राखी can be of different, I mean, you know, cinder can be larger particles of cinder, which are large blocks. So you can't buy these large blocks and sit and break it to make cinder. So you get literally rakhi, usko, and in those days, earlier days, it used to be very cheap. I remember we used to buy it for 5 rupees a bag. But I think now it's become 30-40 rupees a katta. So you bring it home, again you have to sieve it, all the fine dust has to be removed, and it has to be washed well, and then you get this granular sand. Now the other granular sand which you can get in and around Delhi, not the Jamuna sand, but the sand from higher up in the river, Ghaggar sand. Ghaggar sand also, if you remove, you know, the finer particles, if Ghaggar sand is also, and that is, in a way it is better because that has got certain amount of minerals in it. Because neither Bagarpur nor Rakhi has any kind of nutrition in it. These are all just ordinary things with no nutrition. So that means you will, when you're growing it in these, you will have to feed your plants more. But the Ghaggar sand has nutrition in it. It is coming from the mountains. It has various different minerals in it, and it is also. But again, for me, it is very difficult to get Ghaggar sand. I have never used it. Now, because it is difficult to get Rakhi, I started looking for other alternatives, and I saw cocoa peat. So what I do is I mix cocoa peat, Rakhi. In that also I mix perlite. Now perlite is a byproduct of petroleum. These are little white granular stuff, which again you have to sieve, because when you are going to buy perlite, it is very expensive, but it also has, because it is so light, it also becomes powdery very fast. So you don't want the powder in your mixture. So today I am mixing Rakhi, and I've given you my proportions, which is, I mean, each one has to work out their own proportions, as I said, whatever suits you. So I mix Rakhi, I mix cocoa peat, and I mix this perlite. In that I add sufficient amount of little bit of bone meal, fungicide powder, and also, you know, this NPK. The NPK that we all use is in the ratio of 20-20-20. For all these plants, you don't need an NPK which is high in nitrogen. Now again, having said this, what I want to add is that, you know, don't blindly just give the same kind of soil for all plants. Adeniums, you can definitely add loam into adeniums. Loam is your garden soil. And there are these other trees that are the xerophytic trees I was talking about. You can have a good proportion of garden soil in it. What other, I mean, you know, there's the trees, some of the agaves also will take in a heavier soil. It should have draining. I mean, it shouldn't be that, you know, it gets the waterlogged. There should be enough drainage in your pot to not allow excess water to be retained there. So you can use that, and you know, so then you have to see various different kinds of soil for the different kinds of plants that you're growing. Most of these, you know, cacti which come from the cooler climates of the world, and they are more delicate. Now for these delicate plants, you require to have soil which is very, very porous. But as you grow into the hobby and as you start learning about plants and different things. I mean, I'm growing some things that is known as adenias. Not adenium, but adenia. Adenia is from the family Passifloraceae. Passiflora, it is all kind of same. It is in the grape, it's in the grape family. The fruits that will come out will look like, which is that only. So that I have planted. I made the bed porous in the sense that usme niche I put in a lot of broken bricks and stuff like that. And then on top of that I did porous soil, but on the ground, in the ground. So I've got quite a few of these plants growing in the ground, and they do quite well. Aloes and agaves also, so long as you don't allow it to get wet, it can take in a little heavier soil. Basically it is your cacti and your delicate these Somalian euphorbias and some of the Madagascan euphorbias which require more light soil. So don't be afraid of growing, don't let it get too wet. If it has wet soil, then your plant will definitely die. But then you know that with any plant, all of you are growing plants, you can't let anything that you have, stand in water. Because even as a human being, you can't drink so much water. So you can't expect the plants to do it. So when we grow plants in porous soil, and as I mentioned to you, this Badarpur and CACTI, they have no nutrition of their own. So you need to fertilize it in its growing period. Again, it requires weak fertilizer. You can't get strong amounts of fertilizer, you require weak fertilizer. All of you are making this gobar ka pani in the house. That you can use that also as a fertilizer to water these plants. But that must be such that when you are watering it, the water looks like weak tea. If you are giving more, then it is going to burn the plant, no doubt. But something that looks like weak tea, you can water your plants with it, no problem. In this season, that is the monsoon season, we require to give most of our plants fungicide drench. So every 2 to 3 weeks, I use, Bavacin is very expensive, but there are some other fungicide powders, and also you can get it as a liquid. Those things I use and water all my plants, at least as I said, every 2 to 3 weeks with fungicide powder. Basic proportion to remember is 2 milligrams per liter of water. Don't give too much, 2 milligrams per liter of water. So at 2%. Most of these things are, basic thumb rule is 2%. Now at this period also you get a lot of ants. In your garden you'll find lots and lots of ants. And these ants are not good for your plants. They per se don't do any harm to your plants, but what they carry harms the plants. I don't know how many of you have seen in your adeniums and things, little white patches. Okay, now those white things are little white furry little things. That is something which is known as a mealybug. A mealybug is one plant that you can keep spraying as much insecticide on it as you wish to. You are not going to be able to kill them. The only way of killing a mealybug is physically taking it and squashing it. I get it a lot on the adeniums and I have a group of plants which I grow called the ancarinas. Ancarina leaves, I don't know, there's something in it. There is a very close association between mealybugs and ancarinas. So I keep cutting the leaves off and throwing it away, and then drenching it twice a year. Drench it with good insecticide. I know that for environment and things like that, it is not good to use insecticide. If you can find any other preventive method to keep your ants away, then it would be good. Neem oil, people have all said use neem oil, but when you're using neem oil, don't use it just directly, because it is very, very sticky. So when you are spraying with neem oil, you must remember that you have to add what is known as a wetting agent. Okay, now wetting agents, you can buy your wetting agents. In case you can't buy any wetting agents, you remember any, not detergent, but soap. Now the only soap that I know of that comes as soap, liquid soap, is T-Pol. Cleaning soap T-Pol in your neem oil. When you're spraying it, when you've added your neem oil, water, add, depending upon how much you are using. For a liter, you can add, say, half a teaspoon of T-Pol. Mix it well. Now this, when you spray it, it sticks on to the plant leaf and the body. Otherwise, in the beginning when I didn't know and I had sprayed neem oil, it only collected a lot of dust and it made it very sticky, which I was not very happy with. In preparing the soil, you can also add, if you can get good neem khali. But don't depend upon the neem khali that you are getting in the market, because it is not good neem khali. That is also something that you can add to your soil, which will keep the insects away. Another very desi fungicide powder is cinnamon powder. Now some of my plants, when they rot, and if I have to add something to it, succulents, to dry succulents, you use either cinnamon powder, which is a very good fungicide powder. It's extremely good as a fungicide powder. But if you've lost some part of your plant and you want to regrow it, and before regrowing it, even your adeniums, you want to do it. In an adenium, if something has rotted, take it out and leave it. Leave the plant. A lot of the times, adenium, the rot in the adenium will just stop where it has rotted, and afterwards when you give it a gentle tug, then there will be a clean break between the rotten portion and the clean portion. But if it doesn't happen in all species of adeniums, so even if you have to cut it, when you cut the adenium, either you plaster it, that cut portion, the damaged portion, with cinnamon powder, or you use tuna. Now tuna means not whitewashing tuna, because that is very, very harsh. Pan ke dukaan mein, what the tuna that you get, I think in the earlier days you used to get it for 50 paisa, 1 rupee, how much are they going to charge you for little packets of tuna. You add that. Noida water is very bad. I add a little bit of gypsum to my soil always, and I also add a fair amount of charcoal powder, lakdi ka koila. Lakdi ka koila ka chura, you add it. So lakdi ka you can add, and that is also good for the plants. But basically you must know about your plants. Most people today are computer savvy, look it up in Google. What kind of conditions they like, what they don't like, and then when you're growing it, it will be easier to do it. So basically you will get to know what climate it comes from. Whether it has come from a cold climate or whether it is from a hot desert. And you will then realize that in a cold climate you can and you can't. So, in care that you would like to know, or any other things.
You know, the adeniums
Spread. And after, sort of a little bit, when you just give it a little tug, that rotten portion will come out separately, leaving a clean, the clean portion inside. And as I said, rub it with some fungicide. As I was told you that use cinnamon powder, use tuna, and then after a little while let it dry, and then you repot it. See, you grow a lot of adeniums. I am frankly now, because it takes up so much of space, I'm reducing growing adeniums, but I've got them all on my wall, boundary wall. Whole of winter they don't get water. If it rains, whatever water it gets, that's about all. And in summer, one thing you must protect why this rot takes place is because of sunburn. If the sun is going to fall directly on the root, then it will get sunburnt. So what I've done, because it's all on my wall, what I've done to all my adeniums is I've put little green netting skirts on them, which the sun is not coming on the codex. It is not, will obviously not burn it.
So what happens in rainy season? I mean, it gets a lot of rain, the water.
Mine are all out in the open. I don't do anything. I don't even put fungicide. One of the things that you must do is make sure that your soil level is level. If you're going to have 4 inches of space in your pot and water is going to accumulate, then difficult.
How can we stunt the growth of adeniums, and something about the Google tree?
So how can you stunt the growth of adeniums?
You know what happens is in a year they become this big.
Yeah.
Change the pot.
Every year, first of all, don't change the pot. One of the ways of doing it is don't change the pot.
Then they occupy the whole mud and there is no mud.
No, but then don't feed it. Don't feed it. Just give it a little bit of spray of, this phosphates for flowering. That's about all. But again, I have, because some of my plants have become so big, I have just cut it and left it.
From the top? Yes.
No, from the bottom. The codex. See, your codex is.
It's like a.
See, this is your codex of the adenium. Okay. And the adenium goes up like this, and branches and things. Now what? So when you are potting it, you have it this much soil, isn't it? Now what I do is this portion, I will just cut. Using, to keep it small. So I've just cut it. But once you've cut it, please don't pot it immediately. An adenium plant you can safely leave outside for 2 to 3 months. Nothing will happen to it. Without any pot, without any soil. Nothing will happen to it. In the south, where they have really gone very heavily into adeniums, there are growers over there in the South India. What they are doing is that every winter they are unpotting adeniums, hanging it, in it, a little NPK, and it carries it through.
Fungicide has to be done very well.
That also for adeniums I don't do, because it's on the top, soil level is there, and it seems to be, in 50, if one dies also, it makes no difference.
Ma'am, cacti, it's very beautiful flowers one sees on the net. But we do not get those flowers. The same mammillaria will be there, but it's not flowering.
Why?
I don't know.
It will fly. No, it will flower. How can it not flower?
No, ma'am. I have so many cacti and they're not flowering, and I see everybody is getting the beautiful multicolored flowers. So it's...
it depends upon which this thing you have.
They're all different species I have. There is only one which has those small white flowers. And those even
mammillarias will flower without fail all the time.
But none of my cacti are flowering except one species with those white flowers. I don't know the name.
See, there is something which is known as echinopsis. Echinopsis, you get some very nice echinopsis hybrids, which has large flowers, larger than the plant. Without fail, it will flower each year. You don't look after it, put it in a pot, leave it, it will flower.
Which one?
But come see, echinopsis. It doesn't look anything very great. Just, I mean, a normal round thing. But then it will flower.
No, but that's why I'm quite perturbed about the fact that I'm not getting
I'm
flowers.
surprised as to why. That's why I'm saying why.
But they're
I'm
actually not
surprised.
flowers. I'm surprised as to how other people are getting such beautiful flowers.
Maybe it's a baby plant.
No, they're not baby plants.
No, you know something that the mammillarias, they start flowering from a very early age.
Sun is it.
Oh no, sun is there. Kept them in the sun all.
Watering them, have you as your
You're watering them after
boys
4-5 days?
So there's now this water from the top, so there's.
No, I've kept them in a place where they shade, so that
Okay.
they don't get excessive water.
Why don't you put them out for some time? I've been slowly picking up everything and putting it outside where it gets a certain amount of rain.
No, but that area gets a little drizzle, you know, when the rain direction is changed. So a little drizzle does come in.
You push it closer to a place where it will get a little more rain. But it should flower. I mean, I'm surprised as to why it's not flowering. Because
Thank you.